Hey, this thing would take 2 seconds to take 0.
No, it took more than that just to try to get to talk to you. Okay, next. Anybody else have anything to speak? Please, come up to the podium.
Thank you for your time. My name is Tim Havener. I'm with Firearms Owners Against Crime. I imagine that you know why I'm here, about the firearms ordinance in your Park and Recreations section of your ordinances. The violation that I iterated in the letter that I sent to the solicitor and then I forwarded to you by email. I would just like to preface my statements here by reading the Constitution here. And I know it seems a little redundant, but I think it provides a good context for what I'm about to discuss. And I'll start off with Article 1, Section 1, the inherent rights of mankind. All men are born free, equally free and independent, and have certain inherent and indefeasible rights, among which are those of enjoying and defending life and liberty, and of acquiring, possessing, and protecting property and reputation, and of pursuing their own happiness. Now, the particular subject I'm here on is Section 21, right to bear arms. The right of the citizen to bear arms in defense of themselves and the state shall not be questioned. I think that's a good preface for what I'm about to say here. Now, your Parks and Recreation ordinance says that no person except a police officer shall have in his possession, bring into, or use in any park, whether carried concealed or carried open, any firearms. And it goes on. There is an exception at the top here, which is also brought up by a letter here that I have a copy of from the College Township solicitor. It provides an exception for permits. Now, the problem with that is that open carry without a permit is legal in the state of Pennsylvania. And under this ordinance, which is identical to the College Township ordinance, it does not allow for that. And I also have here a copy of 6120, which I'll reiterate here. General rules: no county, municipality, or township may in any manner regulate the lawful ownership, possession, transfer, or transportation of firearms when carried or transported for purposes not prohibited by the laws of this Commonwealth. Now, I also have here a copy of the Municipal Police Officers Education and Training Commission memo. This goes to every police officer that's trained in the state of Pennsylvania. It states, in question number 3 here, what can police legally do when they observe a person engaging in open carry? In most cases, the police cannot engage that person in anything other than a mere encounter. And then it goes on to give the exceptions, which for prohibited locations under state law, and of course the city of Philadelphia, which requires a license to carry openly. That's the only place in Pennsylvania that requires a license to carry openly. It says at the bottom here, therefore a stop and frisk or any other seizure would not be legally justified. So if the intent of this law is to provide some way to stop or frisk or disarm a citizen that's carrying a firearm openly in a park area, that would be a violation of state law. And I also have here 2 Supreme Court decisions, Ortiz v. the Commonwealth and Hawkins v. the Commonwealth, which back up what is printed in the police officer's training memo. And I can provide you copies of all this material and email it to you however you would like. Now, one last thing that I would like to say is that this is not just a violation. It's not just a disagreement. It is actually a crime. Under 6119, violation penalty in the Uniform Firearms Act, except as otherwise specifically provided, an offense under the Uniform Firearms Act constitutes a misdemeanor of the 1st degree. Now, public officials are protected by qualified immunity. But under Dillon's rule, if any public official acts outside of the purview of the law, they lose their qualified immunity and are open to civil and criminal prosecution under the law as individuals, not as a body. So I think it's very important that you look at this material and you act upon it and respect the right of the citizen to carry arms as protected under our Constitution, under our state law, and change your ordinance to comply with it. And I would encourage you to do so.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
we received in our packets copies of some of what he's referring to.
Okay.
I have a question about this issue, but I don't know, is it appropriate to bring that question forward at this time? Do you want to discuss this issue at all at this time?
I think we have to turn this over to our attorneys and let them come up with what is legal and what we have to do as far as making our ordinance legal.
Well, if I might ask one last question from the supervisors here. Is it the intent of keeping this law in place to arrest people that are carrying a firearm openly? What's the intent of the law? And that's not a question for the solicitor, that's a question for you because you are the lawmakers. You're the ones that vote on the ordinances.
We already said we're going to look into the law to make sure it's legal. That's the only thing I can offer you. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and tell you I spent 20 years as an attorney sitting down and reading the Constitution. But I can tell you we're going to look into it. We did it as a center region protection of the parks. We will look into it to see what we have to do to make it legal.
Okay, well, I appreciate it. And I'll follow up with you at another time.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, could we ask our manager to add one piece to the inquiries that he makes regarding this? Whether it's legal or illegal, certainly the facts are the facts. Does rescinding the firearm regulation that is in our public parks at the moment on the books, does that affect or remove the option of our school districts to use these facilities for either instruction or athletic events, given that firearms and public education has a very specific and well-tied relationship? And so when our solicitor and or staff review this, I would clearly like to get a sense of whether rescinding this particular prohibition impacts on our ability to provide our parks for both instructional use, which they are now, as well as athletic use, which they are now and probably will be in the future even more so.
I can make one comment on that. It depends on who owns the property. If the township owns the property, the rules apply that apply to any other park. If the school owns the property, then it applies to the rules that fall under the protection of school property and the ordinance and the state law that covers that. If that helps you at all.
Well, like I says, we'll have our solicitor now look into this and have the other solicitors look into it. We'll see if we can get down. I know it's difficult to get 5 or 6 attorneys to agree on something, but we'll see what we can do. Thank you. Anybody else?